Thank you so much. I feel it's an honor to be part of your podcast today. I've been reading up, and I'm really impressed by how you have evolved yourself from a caregiver to someone who's spreading the message about rare diseases, and how you have been taking care of your daughter and preparing her for a life of empowerment. So I can see an empowered mother and an empowered daughter. So it's absolutely my honor. Talking about myself, as I said while we were chatting, my mother is also an embodiment of empowerment. So going back to my childhood and a little bit about my family and myself. So we have four brothers and sisters. Might have two elder sisters. Those who don't have any. I mean, they don't have SMA. However, my brother and my brother is older than me, is 2 years older than me. Both of us have SMA. So, Bodo, the time when we were born, there was no doctors or everybody was clueless about what exactly we have. So we went through a number of diagnoses. We visited all the hospitals in India. My father was very keen on taking us everywhere. So I think when I was in class 6th and my brother in class 10th, then we had our first proper diagnosis at AIMS. And they said initially they were calling it myopathy, but then later on they said that it was SMA. So we were not diagnosed for which type and all. But we were given to understand that we are not going to be living very long and all that, which was along with this disease. A second final diagnosis was when I was in 10th and my brother in 12th. We went to Bombay and we visited a number of hospitals there. So then it was finally confirmed that we had SMA, and by then my brother had stopped walking. He was already like a wheelchair user. The interesting thing is that time there were no uh, there were no aids for people who had stopped walking. How would he move around at home? How would he manage to go to school? Because we were both mainstream school students. So it was left to our parents to come up with innovative ideas. It was my brother and my father who together then devised a contraption for him, which was kind of a lower stool, which we call in Hindi machia. And then they put two wheels around it, and my brother would move in at home on that. He would move the wheels, sitting cross-legged on that. And this is how he managed his life at home. My sister used to cycle him down to bus stop, and from bus stop, his parents took over. They used to carry him on their back. When he used to go to school, they used to carry him on their back to the classroom. And that time, the classes used to be senior classes are always on upper floors. So that's how my brother was managing himself. Regarding me, the progress of my disease was much slower than my brother's, and I kind of had problems getting off from the floor and running. I would fall, and all that was there. But I was walking, and I used to go to school, catch my bus, all that stuff. I had problem climbing steps. I needed a balustrade to hold on to, and I couldn't use both my feet to climb steps and all. So by 7th or class 8, in I think around class 8, my hearing handicap started, progressing much faster, and it was becoming very difficult for me to now manage in class and all. I had been a very bright student. I was a topper, like kind of very competitive, very competitive. Well, I always wanted to be first in class. Never, not even want to compromise on one mark. That kind of student I was. I was consistently topping my class, and all that was there. So in class 8, the hearing handicap started hampering, but I did very well. I topped class 8 also. Class 9 became a little bit of a problem because not listening to the class lectures. That kind of put me in a strange spot. I would, especially the chemistry and maths classes became an ordeal for me, and my geography class, because my chemistry and maths teachers were South Indians and they had heavy accents, so it was impossible for me to understand them. And my math teacher and my geography teacher spoke very softly, could barely hear at the back, and I always sat in front, but still, I couldn't catch anything what she said. Unfortunately, the lack of understanding regarding disabilities that time meant that the teachers started thinking that I'm not paying attention in class and I've lost interest in studies, and kind of it began playing on my mind, because till class 8 my father used to be so uncomfortable going for parent teachers meeting, because my teachers would start giving my example to other parents, like such a great student and blah blah blah, and Mr. Thakur, your daughter is blah blah. My dad was kind of retiring and shy and he didn't like that much of attention. But in class 9th and 10th, my father started hearing that she is not paying attention, grades are falling, and all that kind of gave me a lot of mental tension.
It never crossed anybody's mind that you could be needing some sort of a medical assessment. You never came out and told anybody that you were having difficulty in hearing alongside. Did that ever happen?
I had my medical assessments done, my father had got it done, and my school was aware that I have these problems. In fact, because I was in a Catholic school, so when my disease started progressing, then mother sisters and all used to do a lot of prayers and stuff around me. They would take a class and make them pray. They also came over to my place and met my parents and my brother and myself, my family, my sister. All that was there. However, there was a total lack of understanding as to what kind of support I needed to continue excelling in class, and that it was playing on my mind. That was absent. The only person who could really understand what I was going through was my father. My mom understood, but my mom wanted to remain strong, because she had a feeling that if she became soft with me, then I'm going to really lose focus. And I'll lose myself and I won't do anything in life. So she remained very strict and strong with me. But my dad always was there for me. Um, in fact, I'll tell you an episode which will surprise you a lot. In 9th and 10th, I had this British nun who was my class teacher. And in winter, like, I used to keep my hair bobs. I mean, very short boy cut hair. That time it used to be very popular, and I had that hairstyle since I was in class 4. So one fine day, she tells me that it's because I keep my hair short that I am deaf. So that was the kind of going back. Another episode which I've not yet forgotten is when I was in class 3. Then this class, my brother was older than me and had passed through the same class. We were both in section A. So this teacher tells me, one day, I don't know what got into her, she tells me that it's good that you and your brother are like this. So it was kind of... so all that happened, and in class 10th, I managed to do very well despite all this. I didn't top my class. I didn't top the batch, which was expected of me. And other reasons for my getting into this kind of a mind space was because I had kind of been prepared right from childhood to become the head girl. I was the class captain, I was all that. But 9th, when your names are nominated by the school for this council post, my name was not nominated for either vice captain in 9th or captain in 10th or head girl. And been consistently winning best actress, best speaker, best essays, best painter, best that. And every year I used to get the general proficiency award because I was good in everything. But when it came to appointing me as a captain or a head girl, they decided that I could not do it because of my disability. That was the final straw for me, and I had two breakdowns while I was in 9th and 10th. 2 nervous breakdowns. I passed out from 10th, I did pretty well. And I was in top 10, not the top, not the second. And anyways, then I changed school because the school did not have plus two. So when I went to the other school, I had suddenly found myself again because I was again class representative and was being noticed, was being treated by teachers and students. Then I was elected the secretary of the school. I did extremely well in my plus two. And then I went to Lady Shram College for my graduation. So that was because my mother, we were in Patna, and my mom was very keen that I should be going out for education. Because for me, it's very important that I get the best possible education and make myself independent, because she kind of knew that the usual pattern of that time, that your daughter does graduation, maybe MA, and then you get her a good room and marry her off, is not going to function in my case. My mother was like, with my brother also, they sent him to SRCC and he got admission and everything, but because he'd have to stay in the boarding, he was told, my father was counseled by the principal that, look, we are taking him in, but we can't give him any kind of support which he requires to stay in the hostel. So I advise you as a father that you please take him back.
So Sangita, what I'm hearing is that, I mean, I can literally, understand the transformation that you went through as a young girl, right? And what your brother went through in his childhood. And this is starting off with your education. And I think with you, it was a little more prominent, this whole, transition into the world of, being called somebody who has disabilities, because what I'm hearing in the first half of your story is that you were strong on all fronts and you were a high performing child, and somewhere, because of the occurrence and many incurrence of the disabilities that crept into your physical constitution, the mindset of the people and their approach towards you started changing, right? And you could see that, you could feel that, and somewhere that started affecting you psychologically. But was there a point in time when you said, and I can understand, I can hear the strength in your voice and the conviction in your tone, that you were not the softest kind of the child that was growing up, right? You were a very determined young thing that was facing life as it came to her. But was there any point where you felt angry that you were not being able to maybe answer all the questions that were being posed at you and your abilities at that point of time?
Yes, of course. The entire the reason why I had the nervous breakdown was not because I was weak, but because I was getting very angry with the situation around me. I was like kind of in a situation where I wanted to go and ask my principal that why am I not being nominated as the head girl, and not that I took a I'm I'm psychologically, my mindset is not wired to take the back seat and not fight back. I have been brought up by my mother to be a fighter. My mother always sent us to the playground and she told us, don't come back crying to me. If somebody teases you, if somebody says anything to you, you have to sort it out in the field and then come back and tell me we sorted it. So that kind of made my brother quite aggressive, in the sense that he was into fisticuffs. If somebody would push him, he would go and give them one. So you see, like we have been brought up to be fighters and not people those who would accept. But there are situations when you are young and the world around you is adult. So you're not in a situation to fight back with them.
I can imagine the fighter spirit, Sangita. In fact, that brings me to my next question now. What did you grow up to be? What did you then do after school? What did you make yourself professionally adept with while obviously you were, living with this progressive condition of spinal muscular atrophy?
We didn't make any compromises with education or my ambition. No. The thing is that Um, while growing up, I had always wanted to be, I had kind of four, three, four things in front of me. I'd either be a journalist, or I'm going to be a politician, or I'm going to be a lawyer. And my dad wanted me to get into academics. So, because he was aware how my disease is going to progress, and I wasn't that tuned into what's going to happen to me. Though my brother's condition I could see, but yet, like, till it happens to you, you are kind of in your own space and you're very happy and doing well and all. So I went on to LSR, as I told you, and I did my graduation in English literature. And then while I was doing my graduation passed like a breeze. By that time, my hearing handicap was quite bad, and like participating in extracurricular and all was a bit of a problem. I did initially, but after that I dropped out, and I was a boarder and I had a group of friends and we had a nice time. And I passed out from college, and it was kind of a fluke because I was not thinking what I want to do next. See, college was where I wasn't, I was on my own most of the time in classroom, not in the hostel, but in classroom, because I had friends in class, but all my lectures were kind of, I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't take any notes. I wouldn't be able to even, well, if you have any idea of how a class happens in an English literature class,
Hmm.
you have novels which have 500 pages, and your teacher will come in and say, open page number 250 or 289. So I made it a point to sit right in front of the teacher. I could not catch the page numbers or anything, what they talked and how fast they went from one topic to the other topic. It's like conversation. Like, what happens is, if I'm in a room full of people, even if five people are talking together, then I lose out on conversation because topic shift. People, one person says, second talks something, third says something. So I can't understand what's going on. I'm absolutely lost in that situation. Till then, I was walking, I used to fall, but I was climbing steps and all, and I was attending my classes. In one class, it was really bad, and that time I got my group again and I gave it back to my teacher. So one day, this teacher said, open page number such and such, and they're not here. I used to look in my neighbor notebook or book to find out what page they are opening. She suddenly takes it into her head and she shouts at me and makes me stand up and says, what is this? I always find you looking in your neighbor's book. Can't you understand what's going on in class? I was standing, I said, ma'am, I'm deaf. And that was that. Pin drop silence. Then my classmates started clapping and the teacher went red. She was so embarrassed. So you see, even my college passed like that because there was no awareness among teachers. No teacher understood what I was going through. And in
Hmm.
first year itself, while I was standing outside my library, my department library, I left my wallet and my books there, and somebody took my wallet. My hearing aid was in the wallet, and I lost my hearing aid. So then, I was without hearing aid in my college. I didn't go for another one because a hearing aid didn't make any difference to me. I was
Hmm.
lip reading all the time. I had started lip reading when I was a child.
Hmm.
I was, again, it was just like flowing, going with the flow.
Hmm.
And my local guardian's daughter, who happens to be my childhood friend, was filling up the forms for herself. We were batchmates, we were in different sections, but we were doing the same subjects. So she
Hmm.
filled up my form for JNU, and she filled up my form for Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi.
Hmm.
Just made me sign. She said, you just chill, you sign this. I sat for the entrance of both and I cleared both. So now there was a tie between whether I should go to JNU and pursue academics or whether I should go do just IMC course. I cleared art and PR. She had applied for art and PR. So my brother advised my dad to let me do this course because it was a short-term one-year course. And he said she can go back to academic because JNU and IMC wouldn't be possible because JNU is semester system and
Hmm.
class. You can't carry these two courses together. If I had taken admission into you, maybe I would have managed doing both together, but not with JNU. So I did this course, and I was the first one to get a job on campus, and
Wow.
all that happened. But
Hmm.
again, it was the same story. I could not hear any lectures, and I did everything on my own, and I lived in my
You,
own suite. And I
Sangita, you make this sound so simple. You're making this sound super simple, and I'm just listening to you all wide-eyed and thinking that here is a lady who is having, a young lady who's having trouble with communication, right? Just with hearing and, with people talking around her and her grasping information thanks to, aids not coming to your rescue, hearing aids not coming to your rescue. And here you're going about doing a course on mass communications, and you're clearing everything so effortlessly. Didn't it ever cross your path that you were slowly getting into a world, into the mainstream world, where especially with mass communications, you're into the mainstream, where you're in the written and the spoken media space, right? Didn't it ever worry you that how are you going to bridge that gap that you were feeling in your own personal communication space?
see, at that point of time, it was easy for me because I'm sharp. My intellect is sharp, so I could manage things on my own.
Hmm.
But once I got the job, I had an accident, went back home for 4 months. Though my job was waiting for me, I didn't want to go back to the same job when I returned to Delhi. And then started my life in the real world without being on campus surrounded by friends who made my life easy. I mean, in the sense, like, I never felt that I wasn't part of their world.
Hmm.
It was always my world too. But when I started looking for a job after coming back to Delhi, I realized that I am disabled.
Hmm.
And I realized that it's very difficult for me to find a footing or a foothold in the job market. There were multiple rejections, and then whatever jobs I could get, they were kind of, I couldn't sustain them beyond a couple of days because the commute was killing. I wouldn't find an auto which was low floor. So I'd be stuck waiting for an auto to come, which would be low floor at 10 o'clock. Like everybody, all office crowd has gone, and I'm all alone, a young woman. It used to be
Hmm.
so scary. Delhi was not safe. It has never been safe. It was so
Hmm.
scary. And so, kind of, my father was very, very now. By now, my locomotor disability was also progressing. So my father was not very comfortable with the idea of me staying alone and struggling this way. He asked me to return home. I went back home, and again I was in a very bad mental space, very full of self-pity. Look, all my friends got great jobs, they're doing well, all my friends, blah, blah, blah. Kind of, I was sitting in a shipboard, you can say, full of
No, I can imagine.
self-pity.
Hmm. I can
Yes.
imagine.
Yes. So one day I was sitting and talking to my dad and crying, and then my brother, he comes and he gives me such a horrid lecture. He gives me, blasts me off. He tells me, stop being so self-piteous. You're not the only person who has disabilities. There are thousands of people, those who are in a worse condition of you. You have a wonderful education. You've been top of your class. You've got great education. You're a smart woman. So what? Try for
Hmm.
other things.
Hmm.
So that was coming from my brother because my brother, after he left SRCC, he had taken admission in DU distance education. When he went for the first year exam in distance education, uh, where the examination center was so inaccessible that he somehow managed to give his first year exam, and he had himself transferred to Patna University to complete his education. But when he returned home for after the exam, he set up his own business while I was in BCom second year. So by the time I passed out, from IMC, he had already established his business. So he was talking from a successful space. He knew that it is possible. He had always dreamt of it was always given that he's going to get into finance, because my father was also in finance and corporate law, that he would do, CA or something like that. But he compromised with that very well. He knew that he couldn't do all that. So he opted for business where he could succeed, where he could establish himself. So he gave me that lecture, and after that, I gave up my dreams of going back to Delhi, and I stayed back in Patna.
Which year are we talking about? Which year are you talking about back then?
I'm talking of the 1990s, early.
1990s, because when you said your brother became an entrepreneur, that time entrepreneurship was just known as family business or a small scale, something that you do, right? It wasn't getting that kind of impetus that it is getting today. Very, very interesting to hear. Please go on. And that time you all were still living in Delhi, or were you in Patna?
No, we all relocated to Delhi in 2005.
So you were in Patna.
My father used to live here in 60s, and then he spent major part of his life, 30 years, in Calcutta. So we were in Patna for, I think, maybe 25 years of that middle period. And because my dad was working there and all. And my brother did not have anything handed to him on a platter. He started his business with 800 rupees he borrowed from my second sister. And that time my sister's salary used to be around 800 or 2000 rupees. So I'm talking of that time. So he set up his business with that small amount, and today that business is his business is now 30 years old, 35 years old. And he's made it a big business. He's been working on it for all these years now. For me, I stayed back in Patna for the next, I think, 10, 12 years of my life. First, I started in Popcom with a company called Kalyanpur Cements Limited, which was a sister concern of Jensen and Nicholson Paints. And they also had a group of hotels, which was the first, Moria Sheraton in Patna. So they owned that and all. So I began working as the executive assistant to the managing director, and worked on that time. The company was undergoing a World Bank sponsored expansion and modernization project, and it was huge. And we had all collaboration with ABB and all these huge big Fortune 500 companies, and also companies from abroad. They were all part of it. So I worked as an assistant, and I kind of looked after the PR. So I was managing the guests from World Bank and all these places, and also working as the go-between between my MD and the project head of this project. So that was the time when I learned computers and MIS, and I even enrolled in a finance management course because I felt that I need to be an MBA. However, 2 years down the line, my boss was retiring, and the chairman wanted to absorb me in his office. But that would require me to travel a lot. So my boss suggested that I try out for journalism, because he said that I write so well. He had asked me to rewrite the entire company manual. So then I shifted out to journalism, and I came to Delhi to give my exam in Hindustan Times, and opted to work in Patna because my family and my life was now there. So I worked in journalism for the next 10 years, 10, 11 years. And I did really well, made a name for myself, broke one of the stories on disability certificate scam in civil surgeon's office. And as I told you, was involved in the disability sector on the sidelines, was doing a lot of coverage on developmental issues, women, children, city planning, urban, a lot of things. So I did a lot of that, and basically was working as head of the magazine center. We also had a computerization during that time. So I was one of the few young people, those who learned computer very fast. I had already been working on computers in my last company. And then I helped the entire company transition to computerization. So stayed there for the next, like I said. Then I got married and I had a baby. Now with an SMA woman who who was my kind of, I was still walking and climbing steps and all that was there.
Hmm.
But the doctors had told me that I should not be thinking of having a child because my body is not meant to carry that kind of a weight. But
Hmm.
I married a man who was the only son, and my in-laws kind of were disappointed. And they also felt that they wouldn't have any grandchildren given my condition.
Hmm.
So I went ahead and I had a child.
You are one path breaker, Sangeeta. Huh? You will never take no for an answer. That's what it's sounding like. Amazing, amazing. So, how old is your daughter now?
My daughter is just turned 20 on 16th of April.
My God, second generation. Amazing. And then what did you do? Did you say that okay, motherhood has come, let me relax at home? I don't think so. I don't think so. So what did you go on to do?
Oh, I was kind of, I delivered the baby and I was dying to get back to work. However, it
Hmm.
was, I almost, my baby and I both had a very, we were critical and kind of both of us survived with difficulty. And then I lost my mobility for the next 2 years. I was at home. I did a lot of rigorous physiotherapy. Now, one thing which hit me was that though I've given birth to this child, I cannot be a mother to her. I wasn't, I couldn't even hold my baby and breastfeed her, carry her on my shoulders or anything. So all her care was had to be taken by other people. Thankfully, my mother was around and I had a great support system. My husband is hands-on and I had workers full time, domestic help, kept two of them to take care of me, my child, and all. So, but one thing I was determined about was what I could see was I have to walk for two reasons. Once, I cannot just be a vegetable for the child I've just given birth to. And two, if I stay at home, either I'll go mad or I'll make everybody go mad because I just am not cut out to sit at home and do nothing. So I literally pushed myself and I went back to work. I had a lot of difficulties, and you won't believe it. I was working night shift. My shift used to start at 5 p.m. and I used to return home around 3 a.m. So, but that is how the newspaper industry functions. And going back a little back before my marriage, I was the one who had a fight with the management that I want to work with the men. I don't want to work in the morning shift with the women on foreign pages. I want to work with the men in the night shift because they used to do all the smart, important stories, and I wanted to be that kind of,
My
so.
God. Anybody who crossed your path didn't get spared, did they? Anybody. Oh. Sorry for butting in, but this is exactly what you need. You need this faculty to use your mind, as the strongest tool that you have, especially when, physically you have anything that challenges your life, right? You have to have that attitude. And it's so nice to hear it in every word that you're speaking. I'm not going to interrupt you further. Please go on.
What you're saying is absolutely true because even my doctor, who had doctors, I had a team with me because given my condition, I'm well aware we can't take general anesthesia. So to have my baby, I had to take a spinal anesthesia, and then I was in ICU and was touch and go. So when I started walking and everything went back to work, my doctors said it's only a willpower and nothing else which has helped her, stand up on our feet again because they had given up on me ever being able to stand or walk. So, coming back to I started walking, going to office, and I was actually, when I told you that I had to fight with the management, I was the only woman in the newsroom at night. No other woman. So when the entire office shift changed because of computerization, they just scrapped the morning shift and everybody had to start working. There was a huge fight with this whole women group saying we are not going to be working at night. And then the management would give my example and they used to curse me that look at this woman, what has she done to us? I used to feel so uncomfortable. But then management gave the management was either you work or you quit. So then everybody started working night shift. So I used to come back at 3 a.m. and my husband is also in the same industry. We were in fact working together and it was a love marriage, but then we decided that we want to work in separate organizations because we didn't want kind of working together. So we shifted to electronic media. So he used to come back around 12, and when going to office, I used to take my daughter and drop my domestic help and my daughter at my mom's place. Then my husband would pick them up around 12, whatever time he was free from his office, and then he would bring them back.
Amazing.
And he has been kind of, it wouldn't have been possible without my family and my husband. To
Absolutely.
be very
Absolutely.
truthful. He was there for me all the time. All the time. You won't believe it. I broke my foot and we were on the 5th floor. He used to carry me when the lift wouldn't work because, in Bihar, electricity situation used to be bad. So more often than not, when I used to return from office, there wouldn't be any electricity and my foot was in cast, so he had to carry me. And as it is, climbing up till 5th floor was kind of very difficult.
You need that one believer, you need that one believer. I think, especially when your life is so challenged, I think all that people who feel physically challenged in any particular way, they need is just one believer, and then that's it. You don't need the whole world to be on your side, right? You don't have to make everybody happy. As long as you have that team spirit, with your loved ones, you are you're formidable. You're absolutely formidable, right? So I can actually think of now writing a book on you, Sangita. I didn't want to, but I just wanted to limit this to a podcast. But but actually, I'm quite inclined now to think of writing something, about you, which is so fascinating to hear. Looks like there are layers and layers of, what one can learn from your life journey, right? But Sangita, what are you doing today? And your daughter is now 20 years old. I'm sure she is, studying as a young adult somewhere. How is your life today? What are you doing? What kind of work is keeping you busy today?
See, like I told you, for the past 25, 30 years, I have been in this industry. After I quit Hindustan Times, I told you I worked in ad, PR. In Delhi, I was in PR. Then I worked with Government of Delhi for some time. And then for a long time, I was with this B2B media company. I was working as managing editor and group editor. And I was group editor, custom publications and project, plus handling a number of product. We used to call it product, but like they're community-based magazines and events we have. So I was managing editor of this finance product called CFO India, which is for CFOs. And then I was also handling this the client facing what I said group editor of custom publications and project, means that I was handling uh, magazines, newsletter, etc. for clients like Microsoft, Amway, and then we had IBEF and all. And I was working across all these products as managing editor. I used to like from pitching to the client to getting the business to conceptualizing the product to being the from concept to publication. I used to be in charge. I mean, handling the entire business. Well, you're talking about one believer in you. I've been very fortunate to have many believers in me. In my journalism day, my bosses were they kind of blindly trusted me, and they openly told whenever this management Shobna Bhartiya used to visit, because Hindustan Times owner and director and all these executive editors. So when we used to have these meetings, my editors would always say that she's the best, and if she were with you in Delhi, she would go try that. So that kind of a support and appreciation, I have I have found from my bosses everywhere in this every organization. I've just had a lot of support because they have believed in me and they have always made me lead things. And I'm a born leader, I think, because I'm not happy taking the back seat. So whenever I'm in the lead, I've been able to deliver very, very, very well. I mean, I can achieve anything. So kind of after this, I was working with this company, B2B company, till I quit last year to complete my PhD. And I quit because the products, there was restructuring in the company. I mean, the media industry is not doing that well. So the products that I was handling were being hived off one by one. They retained me because I've been giving them such good service and they're very happy with me and all. So like they associated me with other products and I was functioning as a troubleshooter and the communications lead and all that. However, I was no longer very engaged, challenged, and happy. So I tried quitting in 2022, but my boss told me don't do it. But in 2023, I quit in April because I had to complete my PhD. I had already, extended, stretched it, and it was a promise to my father who passed away in 2008. So I had to do it. So I took this 1 year off and started working on my thesis. Meanwhile, I was also thinking what I should do. So I was keen on getting back into the disability sector because during COVID, my daughter had made a profile of mine on Instagram. And she told me, Mama, are you right on that? You will feel engaged and, this time will pass better for you. So I started putting up my pictures. I wear saris 5 days a week. So I used to wear saris even during COVID to keep myself in that frame of mind. And I wore saris, took a picture, posted the picture with the caption being on disability, about my disability, about issues, and even did a couple of videos how you should talk to a deaf person, small things which came to my mind. And I realized what a gap there was in the understanding of people regarding disability. So was at the back of my mind. And just a small detour I'm doing, like in 2019, my father passed away in 2018. And in 2019, I had a brain hemorrhage. So for me, it was like I was back at home 2019 and I just started going to office in 2020 when that COVID happened. And then it was a long break for me. So kind of this blogging on Instagram and that wearing of saris every day despite being at home and keeping myself fit and in that loop, I did
Hmm.
not let things falter that like I'm still in office when I'm working because it was a
Hmm.
long period for me, including 2019. So it would have really damaged me if I hadn't done it.
Right.
So that is how it was at the back of my mind that I must do something. And while I was studying last year, I was approached by this startup, and they had seen my posts and all, and they asked me to help them set up their company in this disability audit and all space. And they
Hmm.
onboarded me as a co-founder.
Hmm.
However, I didn't work for them for very long because my PhD was the priority. I keep saying. So this startup was taking up a lot of my time. So I said I can't carry on, and I
Hmm.
quit. So, but there was this Hungarian company I was in touch with, and they told me that once you complete your PhD, you get back to us because we are very impressed by what you're doing, and we want to discuss things with you.
Hmm.
So then when I discussed with them, they asked me to if I would like to be an India accredited partner for them. So
Hmm.
I became associated with this company and they're into accessibility audit space. So that is how that accessibility audit thing came up. I launched my own company and I'm an accredited partner with them for audits. Now, my understanding is that only infrastructural audit is not the whole thing because it's again you're perpetuating that tick box approach where corporates will just do make they're already doing it. They say that the infrastructure is accessible, they have LEED certification and all that. Well, okay, when you go and that is an experience which I've had while I was pitching for that other company with a very big tech conglomerate in Bangalore. They were all very satisfied that they have perfect 100% accessibility. But when I went there they had some issues with some foreign vendor who had found some gaps, and now they were in a bind and they wanted their premises audited. So they were kind of not ready to accept that they have any gaps, but there were gaps. So when I went there and I found so many gaps in the LEED certified building, which they had also kind of certified by somebody, some company or some NGO who had done their accessibility audit. So I kind of realized that just doing this infrastructural changes is not going to benefit the disabled unless there is a commensurate mindset change which happens across society.
Absolutely.
And that is not just the corporate, because you approach the corporates and they say that where are these people to hire? They're looking for talent. Now, like there are some organizations and NGOs, those who are into, they have platforms for facilitating the employment. But I don't know, there seems to be some kind of a gap, and I'm currently not looking at employment or anything. I don't have that capacity. So my focus is on accessibility audit, and at the same time offer them awareness and sensitization, because they need to understand what is required in your organization to make it a space not just to accept but to help people with disabilities thrive. I have thrived in my organization despite the fact that I did not get any accommodation, but I did get very positive feedback. I had a very positive team with me. So, it helps. So mindset is very important. So that is how I launched my company, and it is just a baby.
You're absolutely spot on, Sangeeta, because this is the kind of argument that I have with people, that accessibility is not just about physical accessibility, right? It's about mindset accessibility too. And somewhere, you cannot make an environment fully accessible without the minds in those environments being accessible as well. For example, today, if I do not make you feel welcome in my dwelling, but I'm just calling it a dwelling. It could be a workplace, it could be a public infrastructure, it could be anything that is a built environment. But if you are not felt welcome, from the point you enter to the point you actually leave, and not just leave, till the point you actually reach back to your place of dwelling, you will never feel accommodated completely. And that entire process needs to be made effortless. It should not be made like a to-do list ki, do I have these many ramps, or do I have the the risers of this nature, do I have the railings on the wall, etc. And somewhere I feel that psychology of adaptation, the psychology of creating complete access, right from psychological access to physical access, is, we are not yet there, but I'm sure, as a person who's lived across so many years, you've seen that space transform. Sangeeta, you yourself, you've and I think during the era that you were working, that your career was prospering, you were able to flourish because you had the mindset accessibility, which was there with you all the time. You always felt welcome in a place because people made you feel welcome. So somewhere, that people culture and the cultural accessibility is something that people need to continue doing, while today we're talking about infrastructure and other elements. I'm going to take you into the brass tags in this next question, Sangeeta. Today, as an accessibility consultant, what is the kind of audit that you have prototyped for your own organization? And I'm just asking you this because now we want to talk work, right? We want to ensure that people who are listening to you understand the strengths that you have to offer, because I think, as a person with immense lived experience, and not just in one city, but across cities and across jobs and across so many years, you carry a lot of expertise with you right now. So when you do a accessibility audit, what are the things that you're focusing on, Sangeeta?
Yes, in fact, we have a platform, and this audit is a 1,000 parameter audit, which is based on stringent European standards, or you can say international standards, because all these standards are based on the harmonized on the universal design principles. So what we have is this it's a platform platform which is on the system, and I'm their India partner, and I'm going to be accessing, say, a building, or it is we also do design, the plan and design audit. You're an architect, so you I'm sure you understand how it's done. So like we do, for the built environment, we have this we do it on our iPad, and there'll be uh, these it's kind of, supposing I feed in that system that I am doing the commercial audit of a commercial building, maybe a mall. Then we have to an entire uh, platform will generate a number of questions, and I have to feed based on the data on ground. I feed the data in that, and then it will generate. It takes about, after about 3 days, we give our report to the corporates, which is based on the actual data we have collected on ground, and it's a report which is kind of a gap analysis, and which tells them it's a it also gives them advice, guidance on how they can fill these gaps. And we have a certification system which I don't think exists anywhere else. So this certification system is covers the entire spectrum of 8 kinds of disabilities. All right. And these are the 8 kinds which are actually seen in public space. The government of India has identified 21 disabilities. But if you find, like, even the icons are for those 8 kinds of disabilities. We cover cognitive disabilities, we cover wheelchair users, we cover deaf, we covered hard of hearing, we cover visual impairment, we cover blind, we cover mothers with strollers, we cover elderly, because though they are not disabled, they come under the group of people with special needs. And also we cover another category, which is those who need the guide dogs, the service dogs.
This is the auditing style and the report that you then submit to an organization, basis which they are given their accreditation for the built environment. And the
Yes.
gap analysis is and the gap analysis that you draw up, is there any action that you also measure up that is being taken to cover up these gaps? Is there like a post audit of that as well?
So kind of, see, basically what happens is, so we have 4 categories of certification. The first is certified only, like certified premises. So that means that you are accessible to just one group of disabled. That is, maybe you have ramp users, basically wheelchair users. And similarly, we have, like, as if you're catering to more than two groups, then you get a bronze, and there's a silver, and the final one is gold. So once we have done the audit based on your scores, we give you a certificate. Now, suppose you get a bronze or a silver, and we have also given you an audit which tells you these are the gaps which exist, and we have given you recommendations. Now, if you want to take up those recommendations, and if you need help for that, then we will bring in a party in collaboration with us to provide you the kind of help that you require. But that part is being done by my company. So uh, my partnership with this Hungary company is only for audit and certification. But if there is solutioning post audit, then Ashtavakra will take over. Also for awareness and sensitization, it is Ashtavakra, my company, which will be taking this up. So my partnership with this company is only for infrastructural and design audit, not for other services which I'm offering.
So what I'm hearing, Sangita, is that after the audit, the solutions that are required to be tailored, as per the analysis that you have done, is also something that you can arrange for the organization or your client. You can give that set of solutions that are required to help cover their gaps. So you do have collaborations with, say, somebody who is in the accessibility space, who can design, who can create ramps, or who can construct and treat that as a project for completion.
Yeah. So kind of, if they need some kind of retrofitting and all, then we will help them, signages, etc. What is missing based on the gaps. We will give them like I'm kind of exploring collaborations and partnering with designers and architects to be able to provide the post audit solutioning. Now, once we have done that entire post audit solutioning for you, and then if you want us to do another audit to find out if everything has been implemented, then again I will be coming to do that audit.
Understood.
And giving you, which would be free of cost, because if it is entire project has been taken over, which starts say from the design phase or even from audit of built environment phase, and then we find gaps, we help you do the solutioning, and then again we have to do the audit to give you a certificate of gold, like you have actually been able to implement everything.
Right.
Then we will do that audit, which will be part of that entire project cost and that.
Understood. And what kind of clients are you seeing come to you for this kind of an ask?
See, I've been getting interest from higher education institutions and corporates, real estate groups. So because we are also doing, we have different, like I told you, it's a platform, and we have developed these 1,000 parameters for each of these different segments of built environment. For example, for a commercial building, for workplace, for say residential. So even for like the marketplace, a market like an open market, which we want assess. Say if a government wants to contract with us and ask us to do the audit of a market, say Lajpat Nagar, or say your Colaba market in Bombay, or whatever markets you have there. So we can do all that, and we can generate the report and give you all the suggestions, the recommendations that these are the gaps and these need to be.
So this is very interesting, Sangita. Do you see government bodies actually coming to you for this audit analysis? Do you or do you see only the private organizations coming to you more for this? The reason I'm asking this is I know that as per the recent bylaws that accessibility audit has now become a must for a built environment. But whether the application of this requirement as a compulsion is only with the private sector or with the government sector, this is somewhere where I don't have a clue. So why don't you tell us a little about it?
Yes, in fact, the government of India has empaneled some organizations as auditors, but there are just a few. And India is huge. Even if they have maybe, I don't know, I'm not very sure of the numbers, but maybe 25, even if 50, you think 50 organizations can do the audit of even entire Delhi, it's impossible. Secondly, government has no certification system. And like if each of the NGOs are using, maybe they'll be basing their audit on government's harmonized guidelines, and they'll be doing it on the basis of the national building plan. Okay, so like, but each of them are developing their own systems, right? So there is no common language of accessibility. So if one organization is kind of certifying your place, and then there may be another organization which can find some gaps. So like we need to develop a system which is
all inclusive.
Actually, it's a solid system where these 100 parameters have to be implemented by this kind of a commercial setup and by this kind of a residential setup. Currently, the government has issued the guidelines, then they're huge. They are all based on international design principles. Okay, so why is access for you offering you something better is because it is covering all the international requirements which are also implementable under harmonized guidelines. So they are ensuring that they are giving you 1,000 parameters. There can be very little, there can be some gaps, but you can be like kind of 99.9% sure that now your building is actually
right.
And then we are giving you a certificate. So if we are giving you a certificate, we are, say you have 5 buildings, you are kind of in real estate, you're building commercial buildings, and you ask us to do your audit, and we audit all your 5 buildings, and then we are satisfying or certifying all your 5 buildings, say as silver or gold, then there is a common language across all your 5 buildings.
Absolutely.
Another important Another very important thing that we are doing is that after we audit a place, we collect its data and pictures and all, and we upload it in a central database, which is a website, and it is also a mobile app, and it is accessible internationally. So from India or from Budapest or from London. Supposing you're coming to India and you want to know if supposing you're visiting say any tech campus, and it has asked us to do their accessibility audit, and these tech companies have
Campuses.
a lot they have vendors from different parts of the world. So
Right.
now, of say a vendor sitting in Taiwan or China or Japan or whatever, and he has some kind of a disability, and he wants to know that if this campus where I'm going to work for the next 6 months is accessible, what kind of accessibility it is offering me. Now, it may not be possible for you to have all your 5 buildings be accessible to all kinds of disabilities. It's not feasible, it may not be cost effective unless you have developed your design right from you have implemented accessibility right from the design point. When we do your design audit, then we will ensure that we are giving you those we are assessing your design on those 1000 parameters that we have to ensure that when you start building your infrastructure, it is going to be accessible. Then at the end of your construction, we will do the audit and then certify that you have followed all our suggestions and implemented everything,
Right.
and that qualified for this. But supposing you are asking me to do the audit of your already built environment, then it's not possible that you can cater to all categories of disabled. You may have say an accessible bathroom. Now I'll talk about it later. Let me first complete this. So maybe you have this accessible washroom on first floor or ground floor or second floor or in building A or building B, or maybe you have lifts in all the building, but not all lifts can have the sound notification or the braille system. So this person who's coming down from Taiwan or from Hong Kong or Bangkok or wherever, and he's a visually challenged person, so he'll come to know that I can sit in building B or C or wherever, because there is the lift which is going to be easy for me. He can even send in a request. All that he can access on the mobile app, which is free of cost for people with disabilities. When you are accessing the data about disability on our website or on the mobile app, it is free of cost for you, for people with disabilities. So you can, plan accordingly.
Excellent.
And then you can, for the companies also, it is very easy because their information about accessibility is there.
A large number of times I get this question, ki, Monisha, why are people talking so much about, disability inclusion nowadays, right? In workplaces, in public spaces, etc. I have an answer, but do you have an answer too? Do you know why there is a sudden demand of, trying to make places accessible? At least people are talking about it, and you yourself would have, felt this change.
I would like to tell these people who come up to you with these questions that it's high time that such demands were made of the government, of society, of people, individuals around us, that they provide accessibility to us. We have lived on the fringes of even the marginalized section. The government if you go to the Ministry of Empowerment for People with Disabilities, please visit that website. You will find some reports where the government has acceded that the disabled have not been in the plan focus for so long. It's only now that they are focusing on the requirements of the disabled. I'll give you the economic perspective for inclusion. If you don't include, then even going by the 2011 census, which says that you have 2.21 crore of the disabled people in India. You please find out all the data on that. and learn how many of them are working and how many households have dependent disabled on them. You
Absolutely.
can understand, even if you have basic economics on you, you can understand what kind of a drain such people dependent on state, on the government for benefits for those are.
Absolutely.
If you're talking about India joining the ranks of the developed nation and you don't look at this huge category of people and don't bring them up at par where they become, empowered
Absolutely.
and included and start contributing to the economy, then
Hmm.
you are the one you are going to be in the biggest loss, because you will be paying bigger taxes to be able
Absolutely.
to fulfill the needs of us. So there
Absolutely.
are very
Moreover, what is happening also, Sangita, is that as per the Montreal Treaty that has been signed, right? The United Nations SDGs, the 30 goals that have been set up. As per
absolutely. And
as per that, there is an immense focus on getting inclusion in every aspect of life, from a country perspective, and which is something that the government of India has signed up for. There is a
yes,
conscious agreement from the government, and the government has finally realized that yes, we have to, right, to be at par with the global players in the economic stage. You cannot
yes,
call yourself a developing nation or a partly developed nation if you are keeping a section of this society far behind. Hence you will see that in workplaces they're
yes,
talking about inclusive
yes,
hiring, they're talking about and once you talk about inclusive employment, you will have to create inclusive travel, you will have to create inclusive infrastructure, you will have, and hence
yes.
you'll see all that half-hearted approach where public infrastructure is having ramps and lifts somewhere, but there is no continuity in terms of linkages to footpaths. And so there is an approach happening, there is a conscious approach happening, but like you rightly said, the guides are not too many, the consultants in the space are not too many, people who are auditing the space and the kind of work that is being done, there are not too many, right? And this needs to be handled at a national level, and I don't think a few handful organizations can do it. I think every state government needs to have an empaneled set of not just contractors who will do the work, but consultants who are good auditors, who can create give a gap analysis for existing infrastructure and give solutions which are not just economical but also ergonomical. And even in the space of designing, like you rightly said, a lot of built environments today, the infrastructure which is already in place, these buildings, it is very difficult to incorporate solutions. You can do maybe a minimum solution approach for these kind of environments, but everything that is under construction, that is being planned, which is on the drawing table, this is the right place where design audits can be done, inclusion and experts can be brought in to give these certifications which are required, and these certifications need to become mandatory. I'm not sure whether they are mandatory now, but they need to become mandatory from at least from the design point of view before construction happens. Do you want to add anything to this, Sangita? You're actually working in this space.
Like, in fact,
Yeah.
you won't believe it that there is already these stipulations are already there that buildings will not be certified unless they have incorporated accessibility. So, however, the implementation part suffers. And as far as as you said, we need to build a cadre of auditors. And in fact, government had this stipulation also for empanelment that there must be at least one person with disability in your organization or as a consultant or whatever for you to qualify as an auditor. So that was also there. So what I'm saying is that the intent part is all there. However, we are lagging in implementation. And since India has been a signatory to this UN Charter for people with disabilities, which goes back to 2006 or I think 9 or something, so it's high time, and all these are coming under your SDG goals. For corporate, it is ESG, SFG. So that has
Absolutely.
that is becoming important. Then you also have then all the building laws are around
Your
you.
RPWD is there. Your RPWD Act is also in place, which has a lot of provisions.
Yes,
But again,
your act is there, and as regard the higher education institutions and schools and all, you have UGC has come down with its own guidelines for
right.
them implement accessibility. So, however, the point is that we have suddenly jumped from a place which where we were
Limited
uh,
means, yeah. We
that
had
kind
very,
of
very,
inclusion cannot happen at once. We were here. We were not even talking about mainstreaming. We had these special schools which was segregated. Now we start talking about inclusive schools, and some private schools became inclusive and they started admitting. However, this was just mainstreaming of students. You brought students in and you left them at their own devices, and the parents had to help in because teachers were clueless how to handle a child who
absolutely,
has.
absolutely,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
now now we are suddenly talking about inclusion. So inclusion is when I am an equal participant in your society, and I have been an equal participant since I was born. But that is majorly because of my family and because I guess myself, because I was the kind who would not give up, who didn't want to
Exactly.
be treated as somebody who is different or who cannot be do something. So it was always I have never said no to any work anywhere in any organization, and I've been appreciated for that because I never felt that the something is insurmountable. So, on the one hand, we have to change the mindset of our society, of our people and government. On the other, we also need to work with the disabled and give them this confidence that if
Absolutely.
you make up your mind to do something, nothing on earth can stop you from doing it. Whether
Absolutely.
you have laws or no laws, whether you whatever you may be lacking in society, but if you want to do something, if you want to
Absolutely.
scale a mountain, you will do it. And there are kids I see on LinkedIn, those who are like this, going with their amputees, climbing mountains. I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of. And also
Like
this
yeah, like they rightly say, Sangeeta, that inclusion is an act, right? It's totally got to do with the mind opening up and accepting. I think how important it is to normalize a condition or conditions that anybody is challenged with. And if you see around you also, I don't think in a life cycle of a human being anybody's body is able, you know from the start to the end of their lives, right? So somewhere disability is an aspect of human life, and we all need to understand that. But like you rightly said, the inclusion needs to start at a individual level. It needs to start with a mindset that yes, we can do it no matter what the challenges are, because unless you create that demand force, the solutions will never come, right? And we need many, many more
absolutely.
probably Sangeetas out there who are talking about wanting that change for themselves, right? Rather than compromising and saying, okay, I'm going to maneuver. Gone are those days, that people were okay to maneuver and somehow try to get from place A to B. Today I think the time has come where people know that solutions are required, and there are many, many takers in the space. It's not a
Yeah.
small marginalized community. There are many, many takers out there, and these people are economic contributors as well. They are not just people who have to be taken care of, but they can actually contribute to the development of the nation. I think that bit is, as much as it is clear amongst us, it needs to reach the grassroots level, right? Get into the units, the families, and the parent psychology, the family psychology, that we need to encourage every life that is born in whichever way it is formed, right? Unless they're absolutely medically obviously incapable of survival,
Yeah,
etc.
inclusion was happening like I told you, like you
Hmm.
said about talk about mindset. No, my brother was being carried on the back of his friends and his seniors. That was inclusion. They
Right.
took him to Nepal. My brother stopped walking, and when they went for after they plus two, they went on a trip to Nepal, and his friends took him with them. Nobody said that you can't come because you are a you will be kind of dragging us with you
Hmm.
can't walk. That time
Hmm.
wheelchairs were also we didn't have those motorized wheelchairs, so they didn't even carry a wheelchair with them because they said we don't need a wheelchair. We have our bags to carry you. That's
Right.
inclusion.
Right.
That's in,
Absolutely.
and like kind of inclusion is happening. People are now noticing this is because of social media,
Not
because it
just
has
that,
given.
Sangeeta. Not just that, I'll tell you, because I think voices are coming out where people who have been living with challenges are proving that they are more, that
Absolutely.
disabilities don't define them. They are able minded, able bodied, and there is a part of them that can even contribute back to the society rather than just being an inspiring figure out there. Look at yourself for an example, right? Just look at yourself for an example. Today, you are talking from a position of having accomplished what any normal person would have accomplished in their lifetime. You never let the disability overrule your life and say that, or compartmentalize you, saying that, no, you're not going to be able to contribute in any way. So these are the voices. And I think social media is such a powerful tool that helps surface these stories. And this is, I think, becoming the reason why we are seeing this advent, which was not there earlier, because obviously society was very opaque. It was all about word of mouth and what will they say, what will people think. That was the kind of mindset that we were growing up with back in our times. But I think social media has completely taken out those filters, and the younger generation is getting exposed at a much, much more younger level, whether they are from villages or from the cities, etc. And good times are ahead. I completely believe good times are ahead. So before Sangita, unfortunately, this topic is so huge that there's so much to talk about, right? And even you'll feel, that sort of aggression that I want to say this and I want to say that. But these are conversations that need to continue. They cannot just end with one conversation and yes, the series is over. So hence, I will keep coming back. If you ever have the need to come and talk anything out openly, please do think of me. But before I go for this particular episode, before I wrap this up, what is your ask from people listening to you today, Sangita? What is it that you would want people to support your work with, support individuals who are working in this space with? What is it that you would want to convey to them?
My ask from everyone is to just be open-minded and look beyond people with disabilities. Look beyond their disability to the people, those who are there, and you'll be amazed that we are actually leading very happy and fulfilled lives. We are very happy. I go to pubs and I'm dancing and I have a young crowd around me and they come and say, come dance with me, come dance with me. They are also so energized and happy to see me. And I'm an oldie and I love to dance and I can with my on my motorized wheelchair. Now I'm more flexible because when I was walking I could fall and I wouldn't even go on the dance floor. I was used to be so afraid, but now and I go with my friends and you won't believe it. I'm so happy when these young kids, they come and they hold my hand and they dance and they hug me and all. It's like, look beyond the wheelchair, look beyond what I mean, look at the person I am. I'm a very happy person. Similarly, look at the other disabled people. We are all very happy in space. It's not us who feel we are disabled.
Absolutely.
It's you, from your lens, from your filter. When you look at me or you look at a person who's an amputee, you feel, oh my God, he's a disabled.
Right.
But for us, it's our life, we are used to it because even though I've been used to a life which was a non-disabled life, but I'm not missing that life because now I'm so used to my life and I find I'm comfortable, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, I'm fulfilled, I'm working, I'm doing everything. So why should I feel any pity for you? Why should you feel any pity for me? Or why should you feel I'm different from you? I'm not.
Absolutely.
So just change your filter.
I think visibility is now merely limited to another's mindset. It is not in the individual's mindset anymore because thanks to the I think the advents that we are talking about, when we have communication which has become accessible, equipments which are available, which are modern and which can aid in different kinds of aspects, be it movement or hearing or I think people need to realize that these are blocks which were missing in the construct earlier. Now with the availability of these bridges and blocks, people are being able to lead abled lives. So hence the terminology, like the way it was understood at one point of time, needs to be re-understood in today's parameters, right? I think disability is just in the mindset. And yes, it is one of the formal ways that people with challenges are addressed. But one needs to look beyond. Just look beyond. We are all individuals. We are constructed in, the same way. Maybe some of us lacks certain things in some areas, some of us don't in some areas. But at the end of it, acceptance is the key to taking that first step into the direction of building that bridge. So, Sangita, thanks so much for this amazing hour and a half that I've spent with you. We have shared, I think we've touched upon your personal history to what to your entire journey in life, to how you came this far. And I think that whole story itself is very, very inspiring. And I hope it gives hope to people who are listening, right? People, especially those who feel that their life is extremely challenged because everything seems impossible, right? And you are somebody who has proved that if your mind is strong, you can move things, right? You can move the walls, you can move the barriers in front of you. So wishing you all the best with every work that you're doing. I would love to collaborate with you professionally if you need my help anywhere, be it in any way. I think ultimately way forward in our society is to collaborate and go forward, right? So please do.
I would love to collaborate with you too, and since you are an architect, I am going to keep your contact ready with me, and I may any day give you a call that I need something done.
Please do. I would love to. I would love to help you out in any way that I can. And I think this is a broader ask from everybody listening, that we all have our strengths, right? If we only focus on what strengths we bring onto the table, imagine the amazing collaborations that can happen in every space of development, right? And if today Sangita is working towards making environments accessible, for everyone, the least we can do is come forward and collaborate with her, right? With all our strengths. So, I hope somebody listens to this and you get a few pings and pongs from here and there, Sangita, but you don't age. You are still that rock that, I was listening to you, from your story, and lots of love and blessings for the journey forward. Okay, thank you so much for making time for me today.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed my conversation with you, and the kind you could have seen how animated I was. So it's a subject close to my heart, and it gets me, quite energized when I'm talking about it, because I've kept quiet for a long time, working in the corporate sector, and being that you can't talk so openly, you need the right kind of space to bring out certain things. And looking at the kind of positions I was holding, I had been kind of not talking about all this, but now I feel I would like to actually reach out to everybody out there and make them see the different side of a person with disabilities. I mean, my brother just moves 2 of his fingers. He's totally dependent for everything, but he's running a business, and he has more than 100 people, and plus all the vendors he works with. So you can imagine the kind of employment opportunities he is generating for the non-disabled.
Absolutely. And that is the biggest ability anybody can have. I think if you are able to help another person earn their bread and butter, you are the most able person in the society, which is looking after somebody else beyond you. And these are measures which can only come about, and once we share our stories, Sangita. And that is one reason why I think, since social media gives you that ability to shine the light, to bring out these amazing experiences that people have in their own personal lives, why go watch movies, right, when we can just engage in these amazing conversations? And even if 10 people are hearing, and it breaks a myth in their mind, it helps them shatter some conceptions that are mind blocking for them, why not? I think that's the purpose achieved, right, at the end of it. So keep doing it. I will look forward to your YouTube channel, with some magic coming from there too. And
I think because both of us are quite, deep
passionate
into this.
Passionate, yes.
To our heart, so.
have been kicked around enough, so it's time to kick some butt back. Like I say that, you're pretty much out in the open.
All the best, thank you for this opportunity.
Take care of yourself, Sangita, and stay blessed with the best health that that God can ever give anyone. Yeah, that's all I can pray for. You have it all. You don't need anything else. I just hope the health remains intact. And if there is anything that I can do for you, remember that you can give me a shout. Thank you so much. God bless you.